I guess to start off with, if I can ask, sorry, a little bit of a tiff at the convention. There was a little bit of an incident between you and your opponent. Just wondering if you've given a little bit of time now. You know, have you buried the hatchet? Are you? What's it like? You know, how are you feeling about what happened and how that went down?
I will always, I tell my clients that if something happens, immediately to call law enforcement. And that's what I did. I did something that I teach my clients and my family to do. So I think that's important to notate. And we kind of haven't really had much conversation. We've been kind of went our separate ways, and we're both eager to oust Bishop, and I do believe that I'm the better candidate for that. So I actually live in our district, and I was born and raised there, so I'm able to speak to that as well.
So the idea that he's in Bountiful right now, I think, right?
Yes.
Outside the district. Okay.
He's outside the district. And that allows me to make sure that District 1 and its constituents will always be my priority because my family lives there. I work out in our county jails out there. I think that makes it sure that it ensures that they're my priority.
So the follow-up to that would be, let's say that he wins the primary and goes up against Bishop. Do you wholeheartedly support him?
I would. I would support him because I do believe that Bishop needs to be ousted because he has done his actions for his chair as the National Resources Committee has really, they want to pillage Utah and its natural resources when we have these beautiful landscapes and people come to Utah because it's a beautiful place to be and outdoor recreation is huge here, and having additional oil pads and drilling will not only pollute our air but it'll deter people coming to Utah. We've lost a huge amount of money that goes to our economy with the outdoor retailers, and I think that is that's important to note. So,
okay.
I'll take this opportunity to ask a question that Caroline, our panelist, wanted to ask, and it relates to climate change and also air quality. With you living in northern Utah, you know we have some of the worst air. I live in Cache Valley, same issue. But we also have great innovation in northern Utah. How would you balance the need for clean air, for clean environment, and the need for the economy to continue to grow?
So I think that kind of bleeds into the question that was asked before. We need to make sure that Congressman Bishop is serving his last term now. We need to have a congressman who actually listens to his constituents and ensures that the air that we breathe, the water that we drink is clean. And I think that the way that I would handle it is we do have in District 1 oil refineries, and I don't want to jeopardize any jobs. I want to make sure that everybody has their opportunity to live and to flourish, and I think that what I would do is I would incentivize those companies and other companies to begin harnessing renewable energy. And I think that we have the landscape to do that for solar energy. We have wind. We can utilize that as a form of clean energy. And I think that as we wean ourselves off of oil and gas and coal, that we'll be able to train those people who so that they're not without a job. Give them first priority at the new jobs that are going to be created, and that allows their families to feel safe. That allows our economy to still be strong, and it cleans up our air. And that's a huge issue. I personally have an inhaler for those bad days, and it was horrible to see last year that people were riding their bikes with masks. We were the amount of pollution that was in our air was we were leading the world, and that's scary for not only our elderly but our women who are pregnant and children. And I think that we need to make sure that we're taking action this election cycle, June 26th, so that we have a candidate who can speak across the aisle and to a multitude of populations, and that's me. And I think we have the best chance at beating Rob Bishop when I make it out of the election.
Let me ask you about the current EPA and support that is not or is being given to help states like Utah that are being required to meet standards both in the Uinta Basin and along the Wasatch Front. How do you feel about the support that is being given to states like Utah to clean up the air?
So I think that what President Trump has recently done, he has rolled back a lot of regulations that the EPA is to follow, and that allows these companies who pollute our air. That gives them more ability to do so without regulations or fines and penalties. I think that we need to make sure that we reinstate all of those regulations, and that companies are moving towards more efficient and clean energy. And if they are polluting our air and our land and our water, then they need to be penalized. We need to have those rules with the EPA back in order, because it's a tragedy not to be able to hold people accountable when we see our elderly and our children being sick and being forced to stay inside during the recess because it's a bad air day. We shouldn't live through that.
What's your position on the medical cannabis initiative? And as a follow-up to that, what is your position on recreational marijuana being legalized in Utah?
So I support medical use of cannabis, and I think that is between a person and their doctor, and it needs to be by prescription only. I only support the use of medical cannabis, and I want to be clear about that. I don't support the recreational use of cannabis. I think that it has some great effects on people who suffer from epilepsy and people who, anxiety. We want to make sure that our troops also, people who come back from war, that they have opportunities to use, to be prescribed medications that are not addicting. We know that opioids are addicting, and I've personally seen, working with DCFS, lives are destroyed, and people die. It can be a death sentence, and people do some egregious things to ensure that they get to get the next fix. And we need to make sure that we're providing alternatives to medications that are addictive.
We have time for one more question.
So given the fact that on the federal level, the use of marijuana in any purpose is still illegal, should the state continue to pursue efforts to legalize it even for medical purposes here in the state?
So I do congratulate our governor for taking a stand and saying, advocating for medical use of cannabis. And I think that it's important that on the federal level that we create policies that's legislation that regulates it as its level 2 substance, and that people, whether you're prescribed it in Utah and you travel outside and you're vacation, that you're not going to get in trouble in different states because you're prescribed a medication that could be illegal in a different state. I want to make sure that Utahns are protected, so that when they go outside, that they're protected. And I want to make sure that that is done federally, and that we reclassify it as a Schedule II drug.
Thank you very much for joining us for this.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.